Happy Sunday evening, everybody, and welcome to the Non-Boss Continuum. And tonight we have another amazing researcher and entrepreneur here with us tonight. But before I introduce Mr. Michael Cook, let me just say hi to everybody who is already here and with us this evening in the chat. And let's see, we've got Mr. Gary Spikes. Hey there, Gary. I hope you're doing well. I've been praying for you. And Daryl, hi, how are you? Little Patty, so glad that you're here. Oh, yeah, game day. Go Chiefs. Well, let's see. Miss Jean Hudson is in the house. And Roger Blair, it's good to see you as well. And Crystal J, hi, how are you? And Mr. Chris Hensley, my Bigfoot bestie, who's also my partner in crime. Pyromedic, hi, honey, how are ya? So good to see you. Patrick Noble, I know, you always want to smile. There, how's that? It's good to see you too, Patrick. Hey there, Sue, how are ya? We definitely are going to have an amazing conversation tonight. Oh, hey there, Laura. Glad you're here as well. I had a great afternoon today. I got to go and see my grandkiddos, and it was really fun. We just kind of went out to Loxahatchee, and we were just kind of letting the kids be kids, and it was fun. And I got some beautiful photos. I'll post them later for you guys. Saw an alligator, of course. You know, it was a beautiful day to be out and just to get the kids out of the house. So it was a really good time, and I'll share those. I'll put them on the in my Facebook group, the Nana Boss. If you guys don't know, I do have an actual Facebook group. It was something else, but I said, I'll just gonna just rename it for my channel. So if you guys want to go and check that out, that would be great. Oh, Patrick, you used to fish out there? Yeah, there was some guys fishing out there today. All I saw them catch was a snakehead, which is an invasive species, and nobody wants them down here in Florida. That's for darn sure. And Gary, not pretty here, 38 degrees and raining. Oh, yikes, yikes, yikes. All right, guys, without any further ado, let's welcome our guest. Michael W. Cook is the founder of Cryptid Research and SossSquatch Barbecue and Gourmet Hot Sauce. Michael has 21 years of researching Bigfoot and other phenomena stemming from a face-to-face encounter with a Bigfoot on a riverbank in southeast Kentucky when he was 16. Michael has dedicated his life to cryptozoology and the pursuit of answers through scientific means. Described as one of the most open-minded researchers out there, Michael Cook has a resume that is full of experiences and collaboration with the most well-known researchers on Earth. Michael has been featured in books, documentaries, and TV shows, most notably Travel Channel's These Woods Are Haunted, and is also featured in award-winning documentaries. Michael Cook has traveled the country speaking at events with his presentation, The Bigfoot Experience, which is a must-see and fun for all ages. A schedule of his events and his appearances can be found at SossSquatch.com. And that is in the link in the description, guys, all of his information. So Let's please welcome Michael Cook to the
Hello,
show.
everybody.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you
Been
for having
looking
me.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to meeting you too, because like we talked a little bit backstage about, I mean, you were one of the sponsors with your barbecue sauce at the Ozark Mountain SossSquatch Bigfoot conference. My gosh, that was a mouthful. I missed that. I messed that up really good today. And it was amazing because they had all of your sauces like there, and so everybody could like just get whatever they wanted. I tried all of them. They were all good. Really, really good.
I'm glad. I'm glad they done that. I didn't know when I talked to the organizers and everything. They asked me, first I was going to send a whole case, and I was like, "What do you need?" And they're like, "Well, send a sample of each flavor." So I did, and I didn't know how they were going to set it up. Like I told you backstage, I was going to be there,
Hmm.
and due to scheduling conflicts and stuff with another project I'm working on, um, I was unable to make the trip. So, but I'm glad you all got to try. And since then,
Yes.
I've gotten two new flavors. So
Oh,
next
really?
year there'll be more to try.
Wow. I mean, what gave you this idea? Was it just like, do you like to experiment in the kitchen, that kind of a thing? Is that how it kind of came about?
So well, let's go back to childhood. So my dad was injured badly in the coal mines early on,
Oh
and
my goodness.
my mom was the only one working in the home at the time. So dad was essentially, the cook and everything else. Um, so dad would come up with some weird concoctions and everything. So that kind of got me interested that, we live in 2023. The gender roles and everything are back in the 40s and 50s. There's no such thing. And I'll argue with anybody who says women are supposed to be in the kitchen and all this. No, if you can't help your girlfriend, your wife, or your husband, or whoever, uh, in the kitchen do house chores, then shame on you. So my love of my fascination with food and cooking began at an early age, and I spent a lot of time with my grandmother and one of my aunts. Go figure. My aunt is from Korea. She's South Korean, and my grandma was from right here in southeast Kentucky. So I tell people that I have very South Korean uh, uh, basis to my cooking and my specialties, and I put the South in South Korean. Um,
I love it.
and I would love to open up a place one day, which could be a thing, that would fusion South Korean and Southern cooking. But about 15 years ago, I I was so tired of the regular. Um, I won't name shame or anything like that. Other brands. I was so tired of other barbecue sauces. You buy one, you might as well buy them all. They tasted the same. They had the same notes. They done the same
Mhm.
thing when you heated them up. So I experimented and made a barbecue sauce, and I just used it for myself. And I would give my buddies barbecue sauce, mason jars of barbecue sauce if they were cooking out or something. And pretty soon, every time I would go to a barbecue, I would take 2 or 3 jars of barbecue sauce, and I would. So people started noticing that I was making this. Well, 2 years ago, for New Year's Eve, a buddy of mine called me. He's like, "Hey, Mike, listen, I'm having a cookout. If you don't care, come over, bring some barbecue sauce, and we're gonna rock out the new year." I'm like, "All right." Went, took a couple of jars of barbecue sauce with me. Um, 2 or 3 days later, I started getting messages on Facebook and people that was at the barbecue. "Hey man, where can I get your barbecue sauce?" And I was like, I guess I can make some. So I started putting it in mason jars, and they would come by work, and I would sell it to them for $15, $20 a jar, because that's a pretty good amount, you know.
Mhm.
And pretty soon I decided, you know what, I'm good at this. It's one of the only things I'm good at. Um, let's try it. So I bought some bottles. I went through the proper pages to get registered and licensed. And once I did, I mean, anybody that ever does this can tell you, um, it is very cool to do, but you better have some deep pockets or good credit. And I have one of those. I don't have deep pockets. I have very good credit. So it costed a lot of money to get started. And I'm thankful, I'm not bragging, but I've made that back. And 2 years later, I'm starting to get into that profit where I can see everything that I've done. So
Wow.
now I'm somebody, it's been said numerous times, and this is not my words. SossSquatch is the barbecue sauce of Bigfooting. It's the people look for it at these conferences and festivals.
Yes.
I think the website, I would pull it up, but the website generates 300 to 400 views a week, or
That's
visits a week. So it has really truly taken off, and I've gotten offers to do other things with it, and for the life of me, I can't water it down. And I'm not talking about watering it down, like thinning it out or anything like that. I'm talking about watering the name down and watering what it means to me down. Uh, I've been offered a lot of money to sell it outright, and I can't do it. I just can't do it because it is mine. But
Yeah.
most importantly, it is my kids. One day, I'm over middle age now, and that's another thing I thought about when I was doing this. Do you want your dad to be known as the Bigfoot guy? Or, it might not make you billionaires, but it might fill your gas tank up every now and then. It's something to fall back on and keep you from being bored. And folks, like I told her, when we first joined, I had to go change shirts because I've been cooking for 2 hours, and I had barbecue sauce and steak and everything else on my shirt, so I went and changed shirts real quick. But it is essentially taken over my life, and I'm not complaining by no means. It is one of those things where it could be anything else, but I would rather it be this. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Probably the first time in 40 years that I've been happy.
That's awesome. I mean, it's just, Bigfoot is very commercial. You know what I mean? Like it really is. I mean, there's a lot of different, I mean, there's coffee, there's candy, I mean, there's a lot of companies, but yours is super unique and worth the money and worth, like it really is. Like I've had it, guys. I put the website, the link in the chat. Guys, go check it out. You will not be disappointed. Trust me,
We
it's really good. Huh?
we it's one of those things though, like you said the magic words. So it's commercialized. And anybody that does this quotes all around this word professionally, a professional Bigfoot or whatever you want to call it, because I'm totally against it. But anyone who does it on the level that I do, where I'm 48 states most of the time, year long, and TV shows, podcasts, radio shows, so forth, and what have you. There is no money like the money you spend doing this. Um,
Right.
I have people. I have people all the time ask me at these conferences and stuff, when you go out researching and stuff, what kind of FLIR do you have? What kind of drone do you have? Well, first off, I don't have a FLIR. I do not own a thermal imager. I have a friend who lets me borrow one. But the FLIR thermal imagers that they have on, say, Finding Bigfoot or Expedition Bigfoot, those bad boys are somewhere around $25,000. And I do not have $25,000 to see a squirrel huddled up in the middle of the night. I don't. And that's pretty much what you
I
do.
love your honesty. I love it so much. It's so amazing.
Well, yeah, I say that because I had this thing happen a while back, and this guy comes up to me, and he had this. It wasn't a FLIR; it was some kind of thermal imager you put like in the bottom of your phone, and your phone turns in. Okay, so it's like
I have one.
Okay, and he brings this to me at a conference, and he goes, "What do you think about this?" And I was like, "That's a squirrel." He was like, no, that's not a squirrel. I was like, yeah, man, I can see it. Like, it's there. I can see it. Unless Bigfoot was this big. I mean, little Bigfoot, little bitty, teeny, tiny, tiny foot. And he got upset, and he was like, so you're saying that I was mistaken? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I have been too, man. I took a picture one time, knew it was a Bigfoot. It was a stump. So it's one of those things where we make more mistakes than we ever do. We make more mistakes than we succeed at anything. But
Well, okay, so you brought it up. You opened the door and I'm walking in. So here we go. So
well,
I get what you're saying because I can identify. Because a situation happened to me just this past week where in a Facebook group, I'm not going to name any names, so I don't do that here. I never do that. I don't believe in blowing people out of the water, but this is the situation that happened. So I see a photo it was posted with a very brief story or explanation, maybe, but but it didn't make sense, and neither did the photo. So I'm a big person to ask questions. We should be able to ask questions. So I just simply said, like, hey, like I'm a little confused because that doesn't seem, like, did I miss something? Like, I'm kind of like, I'm not seeing what you're seeing, but I'm like, and all I did was ask a couple of questions and said, thank you for your assistance answering, my question. Thank you. Like, and my post got removed because I asked a question. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not understanding this. Like, have we really crossed a bridge that we can't ask a question about? We can no longer question. Well, if that's the case, then what the heck are we all doing in this community if we can't just ask questions?
so the drama that unfolds with this stuff. And I get asked a lot. You've been in this for 20, 21, 22 years now. How do you get through it? And I've had a similar. It's so funny. You and I have had the same thing happen. Several years ago, this guy comes up to me at a conference, and he has an actual picture, a photograph, and we have cell phones now, and iPads, and everything else. So that's normally what we look at now is the cell phone pictures. But this guy actually had a picture, and there was just trees. And he said, "What do you think?" And I was like, "You gotta help me out, brother. I can see a lot, but I can't see what I'm looking at." He goes, "Well,
Mhm.
you don't see the Bigfoot." So I'm sitting there looking right at it, and I'm like, "No." He goes, well, that's because it's invisible. And I lost my mind on that poor guy. And I felt pretty bad afterwards because he didn't know. And I take that experience with that one guy and I use it. I use it as a lesson for myself and a lesson for others.
Mm-hmm.
If you, before you show somebody else, and I don't care if they are a Bigfooter, I don't care if they're just some Joe off the street,
Mm-hmm.
think about what you're going to say before you ever say it. It's not worth getting ridiculed over if you say it out loud. Now say I'm so and so that done this. I won't say no names. And I had this picture, and I said, okay, I'm by myself. I'm going to lay this picture down. I'm going to say, you can't see that Bigfoot because it's invisible. Now think about how ridiculous that sounds. Think about what you're going to say before you ever say it, and then try to, if you have to say it, word it a way where it don't sound ridiculous. And the invisibility. I used to be a big. I used to be against any kind of supernatural occurrences with this stuff. I used to be, this is 21 years ago, flesh and blood, non-human primate. Nothing more, nothing less. 21 years later, I can honestly tell you, in my opinion, that these things are flesh and blood, but they are endowed with certain abilities that enable them to do things we can't explain. And for that, I do not discount anything anyone says anymore. And now that don't mean come up to me and tell me there's 45 Bigfoot in this picture and I see a bunch of trees. Don't do that. For one, I don't have the time. That's another thing. Time is the most valuable thing I could ever get, and I don't have enough of it. I'm greedy with time.
Right.
But with I will take into account. That's why I come to the defense on certain people, and I will name drop this one, Todd Standing, his videos, his pictures, and when somebody asks me, now I know Todd. Todd is a friend of mine. He is a very good person. This is not coming to his defense by no means. I'll ask a question to answer a question. What do you think about Todd Standing's pictures and video? Okay. Were you there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. Okay. What do you think? What's my opinion matter? I wasn't there. I can't say Todd Standing did not take pictures of this. I cannot say the videos are not real because I was not physically present when this was done.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, for me to make the claims that others have made that this is lies, this is hoaxes, and all this stuff is not only offensive to Todd and our friendship, but also a disservice as a researcher that that I automatically go to this is nothing but hullabaloo garbage. I have to look as a researcher, I have to look at everything, no matter how fantastical it could be, or what my personal opinion is. And that's the problem with the research community is and I say we because we as a whole, we let personal opinions and personal feelings get in the way of the research.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody could figure out how to get past that, we would start moving more forward. And that's the reason why we are falling far behind with research.
Yes.
But it's no different. Today, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have YouTube, we have everything under the sun. People have the ability to create. In 5 minutes, I can get on my phone. I can create a Facebook page under a different name and be a completely different person. Go on and start bashing these other researchers. But I'm not going to say anything behind your back. I'm not going to say to your face.
Exactly.
But it's no different today. That's the only thing different. But that people can hide behind these screens.
Mm-hmm.
21 years ago, 31 years ago, 41 years ago, 51 years ago, 61 years ago, you had people, okay, the Four Horsemen. A lot of people don't know this. You had Peter Byrne, Grover Krantz, Roger Patterson, and Renee Hendon. They hated each other. Hated each other. Renee Hendon would go to conferences and heckle other researchers. He would sit in the front row, and every time somebody would state something, he'd say, that's horse crap. And he would just heckle the crap out of them. And hilarious to me, because I feel like I am the living embodiment of Renee Hendon. When it comes to my buddies, I will heckle the crap clean out of them. And Daniel Benoit can attest to this one. Daniel will say something, and I'll be back here in the back going, prove it. Because you can't. And
but I feel like that's the slippery slope, because when you have a question, it seems like that's the stance that happens. I ask a question, and then why it's perceived as being trolling or being as, like, I don't believe them, doesn't mean I don't believe them. Doesn't mean that I'm trolling. It just means I have a question. So aren't we supposed to question, though? I mean, aren't we supposed to think for ourselves, critically think, and I mean, but because, and to your point, but because we ask questions, it's looked at as an attack, as a this really bad thing that we're not supposed to be doing anymore. So why? I guess the biggest problem I have is that there are no standards, because everybody feels like, well, this is my truth, right? Everybody feels like this is my truth. And because you can't prove it didn't happen, then this is my truth and you better accept it.
it is a slippery slope. And when you gotta look at how society has been programmed to believe today. And this is not a political thing. This is not. In fact, anybody that knows me. But off Facebook, anybody personally, they know that I am completely against politics. I'm completely against organized religion. If you believe in God, great. If you don't, great. I don't really care, because it don't affect me any. It doesn't affect me any.
Mm-hmm.
But this wussification, where I'm entitled because I have a picture of a tree. I'm entitled to have this and say it's what it is, because, how dare you go against me because it offends me.
Mm-hmm.
That right there is where our society is today, and that trickles down the pipeline to every single aspect of society we are living in.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to, if you're not with me, you are against me.
Yeah.
And these people that have the pictures and all this stuff, they are, okay, screw it. They're delusional. They are. They are delusional, and a fence meant if you take a picture of that tree right there, and you tell me there's Bigfoot in it. If there is not a clear Bigfoot in it, I'm sorry. You might be seeing something I'm not seeing, but I wasn't there either. That goes back to the whole Todd Standing.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there, so I can't say you're full of it, but I can say prove it. I want you to take a red marker. I want you to draw around this picture. I mean, the red circles are everywhere, folks. I got an app that throws a red circle on any picture. I mean, and speaking of, a buddy of mine, and I said his name a minute ago, done this a while back, and it was completely genius. But Daniel Benoit took a picture, I think, in his backyard. And all he done was place the red circle in a random spot, put it up on Facebook, and I swear to you, 500 people came up and said, "Oh
Yep.
my God, that's the clearest picture of Bigfoot I've ever seen."
Yeah. I've done it. I've done it too. I have. I've even done like 3 or 4 shows on it, showing people like, look, this is where I took it. There's nothing there. There's really nothing there. And it's like I don't understand, like I don't know, I don't get it.
Well, unfortunately, we live in a day-to-day where the Photoshop and AI and everything else. Somebody asked me, and I mean literally with all my heart, I mean no offense by this. I was in South Carolina a few weeks ago. Speaking of at the South Carolina Bigfoot Festival, recommend it for anybody that wants to do something next October. There's you something to do. But the somebody asked me, I done two speaking engagements that day. My speaking engagement, my presentations are an hour and a half long, almost 2 hours. I was completely done at the end of this, and I had a Q&A at the end of the second one, and somebody said the Patterson Gimlin film. And I said, okay. Well, what's your opinion on it? It's one of the best pieces of film. It's one of the best pieces of footage and evidence, in my opinion, that there is. I mean, caught red-handed in an age where the only way you could fake this is through Hollywood magic. That was not. Have you seen Godzilla, the first Godzilla? Have you seen King Kong? Have you seen Planet of the Apes? That wasn't that great. Fantastic movies, but it wasn't that great. And somebody said, "What's it worth?" And another guy answered and said, "Well, it's worth 1,000 words." And I said, "That's exactly what it's worth, because that to science and society, it's not. It's nothing. It's a video. It absolutely does nothing for my research. The Patterson Gimlin film was not the catalyst to make me get into Bigfoot research. It was not. It was not something that I sat and studied and rewatched and watched and rewatched over and over again, and thought to myself when I was a kid, they're out there. I gotta go look for them. No, I didn't believe in Bigfoot whatsoever before my experience happened in 2002. But the Patterson Gimlin footage, open-minded, I've been there. I've been to the banks of Bluff Creek. I've stood where Roger and Bob stood and filmed it. Now, let's just pose the question. Let's just pose this scenario. Let's say, okay, it was faked. Cool. How'd they do it? Anybody that's watching this, buy you a plane ticket. Go out to, it's a couple of clicks west of Orleans, California, Northern California, and Six Rivers National Park. If you want, I can give you the GPS coordinates to the Patterson Gimlin film site because I dropped a pin when I was there. Going out there and in your mind say,
Mhm.
this was fake. I'm going out there to prove it. I'm going to tell you something, a little secret. It's been done before. There's been a lot of people go out there to prove that video was fake.
Mhm.
Guess what? They all have one thing in common. They couldn't
They
prove
couldn't
it.
do it.
Logistically speaking, in a rational mindset,
Mhm.
the Stan Winston, who is a arguably the best makeup artist Hollywood has ever had, has been quoted saying, okay, let's say if that was a suit. Okay, first off, in those days, there would have to be a skeletal structure inside that suit. The suit itself would weigh somewhere around 400 or 500 pounds, and it would have to have hydraulics in it to move fluidly like it did. So you add another 100 pounds for hydraulic bank. Um, it wasn't hot, so it was in October of 1967. It was a cool day. So you wouldn't have to worry about heat stroke or anything like that wearing the suit. Um, how are you going to get a 500-pound suit up the creek or down the mountain
Mhm.
and back out? Now, some people said, "Oh, they buried it." Well, okay, there's been excavations of it. Um, they've excavated a lot of territory around there. There's never been a suit found. There's never been any of that found. But one of my biggest things with the Patterson Gimlin film was the fact that I've sat eye to eye, same room, with Bob Gimlin, and he's told this story. He's not told the story of, Roger and I were filming and this thing comes out and what you see on TV. He told the whole story.
Mhm.
He told the story about 2 weeks beforehand when John Green was out in Northern California researching. He had to go back to Canada. He contacts Roger Patterson. Roger gets a hold of Bob. He was finishing up a roofing job, this and that. He goes years after the event happened about how him and Roger fell out, about how they made up. They made amends on Roger's deathbed, and Bob sat on this. Bob sat on this footage for a long time. And a lot of people didn't know who Bob Gimlin even was up until the 90s.
Mhm.
And to this day, outside of the Bigfoot world, you say, "Hey man, welcome to a random person. You know who Bob Gimlin is?" They're gonna tell you no. You ask a Bigfooter though, he's the Godfather. He's everybody's grandpa in Bigfoot. Um, but logistically speaking, the Patterson Gimlin film, could it have been faked? Absolutely. Today, not 50, 56 years ago.
Yeah.
No. Today, if that same video came out, sorry. And people would go after Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin like they have unfairly Todd Standing and a whole lot
Mhm.
more. But we cannot discount anything. But when it comes to research and pictures and video, audio, what have you, we can't base our research as an individual on that unless it's ours, unless we were right there. I know several in the Bigfoot community right now that credit the Patterson Gimlin film. They first saw it on In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. They
Mhm.
credit that film for them getting into the Bigfoot world and all this stuff. There's researchers out there that's never had a Bigfoot experience.
Mhm.
And for that, I applaud them. You are really truly walking blindly into something you have no idea what you're getting into. Me, I'm the same way. I'm one of the world's worst to see something dark and scary, and I'm like, I'm going to go check it out. Why not? Unless I see a clown. No offense. No offense. I've had this weird phobia. I have
Of clowns.
one of my dearest friends is a clown. Like he is a professional. He went to Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Clowns College. And I can't be around him when he's got the nose and the makeup on. Like I have some kind of weird, I don't know, it's just weird, man. No offense to anybody that's a clown, but seriously, somebody asked me one time if Bigfoot scared me. I'm like, I've had one experience that really, really bothered me. But if it ever walked out on me and there was a big red nose,
you would be like, I'm out of here.
I'm done. The Michael Cook, former researcher for Bigfoot. No, I'm good, man. Oh, hell no. That's just creepy. It's creepy. It's creepy. God bless them though. They make kids laugh and all this stuff. God, good Lord. You know what really freaks me out is the clowns from like back in the day. Like those guys. That's nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they had the crazy makeup on. They're like, hey kids. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell no. Oh hell no. I took my kid to Ringling Brothers one time, and it actually turned out pretty cool. But this clown comes up to me, and I got over it real quick. I was still kind of nervous and scared and all this stuff. But later that night, after I dropped my kid back off with his mother, I was at a bar, and this girl walks up and she sat down. She goes, "Thank you for coming today." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Oh, I'm so and so. I was the clown that came to you and your kid." And I'm like, "Pretty hot."
Almost changed your mind about clowns, huh?
I mean, I could probably handle some big shoes in my closet, but don't put that crazy makeup on around me. But no, I've had one terrifying experience, and it wasn't really for me either. It was the incident that happened on These Woods Are Haunted. That could have turned raw pretty quick. But I had two people that I put in that situation. That was most of my fear. If something would have happened to one of them, I would have never been able to live with myself. Because I'm the one who put them there.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that encounter?
Yeah. October 6th, 2018, we took my ex-girlfriend and I, Gwendolyn Guthrie. She's also she's a paranormal researcher, still really good friend. Her and I took our friend Kenny to a research area. Neither one of them had any Bigfoot related incidents. Gwen had one, but we all kind of came to the same conclusion that she probably encountered a dog man at some point. And folks, I'm not a dog man researcher. You want dog man researcher? There's another cook. His name is Jody. He is a very distant cousin of mine. He heads the North American Dog Man Research Organization. Get a hold of him if you want to talk about dog man. Me, I try to stay as far away from that crap as I possibly can.
Me too.
There's something macabre about that, and I'm not.
I don't want no part of dog man.
So we took Kenny to this research area in central Kentucky, and it was a research area that we had actually, me and the guy that researched there, we had actually closed it. We were case closed. They had moved out. There was no kind of activity whatsoever. After a couple of years, we had we went there in 2015. We had an experience in November of 2016 where we saw two of them. And then after that, everything just died off. Like Glenn and I would go in there, and we would stay from dusk till dawn. Nothing. And I'm not one of these people that knock on trees and whoop and holler.
Mm-hmm.
We would sit there and we would hear absolutely nothing. We tried the wood knocks and everything, man. We couldn't get nothing to talk to us, nothing to interact with us. So I wanted to take Kenny to a place where there wasn't no danger, and there was. This is kind of selfish. There was no danger of us having a negative effect on the creatures that we were researching. So we took Kenny there, and I told him going in. I said, "Listen, guys, don't have any kind of expectations. There's nothing here." And Gwen has testified to this too. We had this conversation. There's nothing here. We're going to show you where we saw the two. We're going to show you where a light was in the middle of the night on me and Glenn. We're going to go up to the lookout. We're going to get out. We're going to be at the bar eating chicken wings and drinking beer by dark. No reason to take flashlights or anything with us because we're not going to be in here after dark.
Oh boy.
So we get up there. the sun the sun sets and it gets dark quick. There in that particular area, it gets dark real quick. And Kenny had a couple of little pocket flashlights. On the TV show during the dramatization, it shows like big mag lights he pulls out. There's nothing to that. There were the little keychain flashlights. You push the button, and the only time it comes on, it goes off when you release the button. Just enough to see in front of you and make sure you wouldn't fall. On the descent, Kenny heard something, which I did too, but I kind of played it off and said it was nothing. And they went in front of me just a little ways, and as I was walking, I could hear something walking parallel to us. And I thought to myself, now, if I stop, what's the chances of it stopping? So I picked up the pace a little bit, and then I just stopped. And it made 2 or 3 steps and stopped also. And I said, yep, this is something not only parallel on us or watching us, it's probably either tracking us or, God forbid, it's hunting us.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk up to Gwen, and she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, just get down the mountain. I'll talk to you about it in a little bit. And because in my mind, you cannot run. If we had to run, and don't run, but if you have to run, you cannot run downhill.
Mm-mm.
No, it's not going to work. So we picked up the pace, and we got down at the bottom of the trail. Kenny was freaked out, and because he kept on hearing everything I was hearing, and I told him, I said, "Kenny, I got to be honest with you about something. I've been hearing this stuff since we got to the top of the mountain. I was hoping it wasn't nothing, but it sounds to me like something's following us around." And he's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I'm going to test it out. I want to see, I want to make an experiment." And I just took a piece of a branch and I smacked it against a tree. TV show shows that I knocked 3 times. I never knocked 3 times. I knocked once because of the little branch that I was using. It broke as soon as I smacked it on that tree. And as soon as I hit that tree up on the ridge, something knocked back.
Wow.
And Kenny says, "What was that?" And I said, "Kenny, this is what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to being a Bigfoot researcher." And but that was just the beginning of everything. One started moving around us, and I told Gwen, I said, "Get your phone out, start taking video." And she started videoing, and a few more other things happened we don't really talk about. But Gwen, I think she got a little freaked out. I'm not speaking for her by no means, but I think she got a little freaked out, which I was too. I've never been in that situation in my life.
Mm-hmm.
She went away from us and drew a symbol in the ground and stood in the middle of it. She said that it was going to protect her. And I said, Gwen, listen, this thing's going to grab you and take you off. Don't care what kind of symbol you're standing in, it's not going to work. So you need to come on. We need to get Kenny out of here. Kenny's going to freak out and have a heart attack on us and die. And I reached down and touched Gwen, and when I did, something run toward us, stopped right at flashlight range. And I draw my pistol. I subconsciously drew my pistol, like I didn't do it intentionally by no means. And I said out loud, whatever you are, we're not here to hurt you. Don't make me hurt you. Don't try to hurt us. You know, I am armed. Leave us alone. Let us get out and we'll leave you alone. And it just walked back and forth back there where it stopped at. Just walking back and forth. And you could hear it thoop, thoop. It was stomping and huffing. And Gwen, she and Kenny, I told Gwen, I said, listen, you two go ahead of me. And she said, no. And I said, no, listen, I'm okay with this. I really am. You all go ahead. She said, well, if something happens, I said, if something happens to me, run as hard and as fast as you can, get to the car and call 911. But don't say Bigfoot. They're not going to come. And she said, what do you mean? I said, don't even utter the words Bigfoot. They won't come. Let's be honest with everybody here. Their society doesn't see that as an emergency.
No.
So she said, what about you? I said, I'm okay. I really am. I've had a good run. Yeah, I got 10 in the chamber. I got 10 in the clip and 1 in the chamber. If something happens, they'll know real quick what they got a hold of.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. I'm perfectly fine with this. So her and Kenny walk ahead of me. They get 5-10 yards in front of me. And I'm just kind of trailing behind. And I still have my pistol in my hand. And I just take the little flashlight and look over my shoulder. About 15 feet behind me, I never saw any kind of detail features. I saw a shadow, a figure, something take one step across an 8-foot trail. And I said, okay, well, that moment's passed. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk up to Gwen and Kenny and I put both my hands on the small of their backs. And I push and I say, don't run, but you've got to go. You have got to move. And we get down to the bottom, main bottom, where cars are parked at and everything. The car's a little ways from this, but there's a shelter house. Like got bathrooms and stuff. And it's tin-sided and all this stuff. It's metal siding. And researcher mode comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Kenny, I look at Gwen, I say, okay, I want to know your thoughts right now. What are you thinking right now? I want it on video. I want to know what you're thinking because, to the best of my knowledge, no one has ever recorded that moment. Somebody had an experience like that at that moment. And Kenny said, I don't know what to think. I said, what do you think about Bigfoot? And he said, there's nothing else out there that could do that. And I said, that's what I've been saying for X amount of years at the time. And man, all of a sudden, these rocks the size of softballs start just pelting from the tree lines.
Wow.
On top of this building. And we get down to the cars. Gwen still got her phone wide open. We get down to the cars. And I said, okay, we're at the cars. We're safe. And out of nowhere, right here on this ridge. Whoa! I mean, just scream.
Ooh.
And right above it, another one. Whoop! But they were different octaves, two different creatures.
Mm.
On above it, whoop, 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 whoop. Just like they were celebrating.
Wow.
Like they run us out. So the phone. Gwen saves it, goes to do something on it, and the phone glitches. It does this pixel like thing, and it glitches. And I said, just bring it back up. There was 53 minutes of this encounter. We had 9. The first 9 minutes.
Wow.
Sometime between the 9-minute mark and the 53-minute mark, something happened. When all the evidence, all the vocalizations, all the huffing, the puffing, the growls, the
The posturing, the everything. Oh,
the samurai chatter, we had samurai chatter on video,
wow.
and it just got deleted. Like we have, and nobody can explain that. Nobody can explain why I took my phone off charge that day in the car to get out, and um, we walked maybe an eighth of a mile from the cars. My phone vibrates. I thought somebody texted me, so I pulled it out of my pocket, and the little battery light blinked, and it went from 100 to 0. Like that.
Wow.
Gwen's phone done the same. However, she had a power bank, and I watched this sucker go from 100 to 70 to 40 to 30 to nothing. Our camera batteries were dead. They had been on charge all night. Kenny's phone was dying. And that was one thing I tell people all the time. Make sure your equipment is charged, fully charged.
Mm-hmm.
And your phone is your equipment. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It and it can be your best friend or worst friend when you're in this stuff. I had some guy tell me a while back. He said, and it's put this in my head, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. When I get on something, I think about it a lot. And I'll actually do this. So, in the Bigfoot world, or in just normal society, say these creatures know what a firearm is, what a pistol is. Okay. Now, you see me, got my phone right there. Okay. If you're a Bigfoot and you see me do this number, what would you think I'm doing?
Drawing a weapon.
All right. So that has weighed real heavy on my mind very, very lately.
Yeah. I never even ever thought about it that way.
So surmise to say that when people are having these encounters, and everybody has these now, I don't care who you are, there's government programs that give you these for free.
Mm-hmm.
When the researcher says, well, why didn't you get a picture of it? Or where's the video proof? Well, when I started to pull my phone out, it freaked out and took off real quick. Or my favorite one is it disappeared. So who's to say these things aren't thinking that these are weapons? And in reality, they kind of are. Technology. This is the last slide of my presentation when I talk about the future of Bigfoot research at these conferences and festivals. The technology is the weapon that Bigfoot is fighting against. It is a weapon of mass destruction. We have drones capable of, and I use a room full of people as an example, but I have, you have a drone that can fly to this window right here, and It can look through that glass, through that curtain, and tell you what my body temperature is. We have missiles that do that. We have missiles that will stop at a stop sign, look both ways, go and blow somebody up. So eventually, society, it might be in your lifetime, my lifetime, more than likely, it'll be in our grandkids' lifetimes that we do find the definitive proof. But the weapon against Bigfoot is right there. And unless they are capable of manipulating electronics, which has been talked about with us about what happened that night in our research area. There was something there manipulating our batteries. There was something there drawing off our batteries. Now, get this straight out from the horse's mouth. I'm not a paranormal researcher. I'm not a ghost hunter. I don't have anything against them. In fact, Gwen, my ex-girlfriend, she's a paranormal researcher. She's a ghost hunter. She knows all about this stuff. She's brought this up several times in conversation. What if something else is there besides Bigfoot? And it's drawing this energy from our electronics. Or, like some people in the supernatural camp of Bigfoot research, they have the abilities. And like I said, I walk a very fine line between supernatural and flesh and blood creatures. These creatures, I can tell you right now, they have abilities that I cannot explain, and I won't even try to. I know a lot about a little, and that's something not in my wheelhouse that I can't explain. And when somebody asks me at these conferences, at these festivals, in passing, or so whatever, I can't. I have to tell them I don't know, but I'm working towards that. I'm working to a better understanding.
Well, let me ask you this. So, because I feel like I talked to a lot of researchers. I've had many conversations with Shane, and and I've had conversations with Randy Harrington, and a lot of researchers. And it seems like what happens to a lot of us. I mean, it's happened to me as well. You're out, you start the journey. We all, I think, start the journey in the same spot where we're all kind of like, it's flesh and blood. It's flesh and blood.
Hold that thought real quick.
Sure.
I've got to step away for just a second, okay?
Sure.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I swear. Just
Okay.
fluff the
No
audio.
problem. No problem. I did see some questions. I did star a couple of questions. So we'll get to the end of the show or towards the end, and we'll bring up those questions. I saw Moon at Noon. You had some questions, and I did star them. Let me put Michael's website back into the chat again. If you guys want to go and check out, I'm telling you, we haven't got to that yet, but I mean, he's already had 28 speaking engagements this year. Like, that's how many conferences and events. And he's got a book coming out right around Thanksgiving. So a couple more weeks. So he's got a book that's going to be out. So definitely go check out his website. He's got amazing products, and his event schedule's wild. So definitely go and check that out. Cause I think when the book comes out, I think he said he does have some other book signing events coming up. So make sure you guys go and check out Michael's website. You're back.
I'm back.
Okay.
So continue.
Okay. I feel like a lot of us, we start out and we are researching. My camera keeps doing this crazy blurry thing. I don't know why. We're researching a flesh and blood being, right? That's where we all kind of start there. But when we're out and we're researching all of these other paranormal, and paranormal, when I say paranormal, anything that's not normal is paranormal. It is not a ghost. But all of these other paranormal, supernatural kind of things do begin to happen. The only thing that I think I can say hasn't happened to me is I've never seen an orb. I have no idea. I don't know why. I've seen a lot of other crazy, weird things, experienced a lot of crazy, weird things, but never seen an orb. But I find it interesting that a lot of researchers just won't even admit to the fact that paranormal things happen to them when they're out researching Sasquatch. Now, if they have something to do with one another, if there is some sort of, connection, we, who knows? I don't know. I am definitely not an expert. I don't know if any of these paranormal things are connected to Sasquatch, or I don't know. But the one thing I do know is we all experience strange, weird things when we are out there searching for this being. So I know that weird things happen, but just a lot of people still don't really want to talk about some of the stranger things that do go on.
Well, fear and ridicule, or fear of ridicule,
Mm-hmm.
keeps a lot of researchers grounded to one particular theory or what have you. A lot
I
of
agree.
research, a lot of researchers think because I start as a flesh and blood, I've stated that this is a flesh and blood, and I walk into the forest and I see a Bigfoot step out of a portal, that I can't talk about it. I have to
Mhm.
tell people, oh no, that's hullabaloo. No, there's nothing to that. They're flesh and blood. But it's fear of ridicule. And it goes back to the whole bullying, the drama thing, and all this stuff. But you
Mhm.
you mentioned two names, Randy Harrington and Shane Carpenter,
Carpenter, yeah.
both
Mhm.
tremendous, terribly great people and researchers. They are not blown up the way they need to be. They spend hours and days,
Yes.
way more than I ever do, doing this stuff. And Randy Harrington has a heart. The guy's a giant anyway, but he has a heart the size of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And if I can honestly say, and you can quote me on this, anybody watching this can quote me, if there's any researchers out there that's going to have the proof or find the proof or present the proof, it's going to be Shane and Randy.
Them. It's gonna be them. I tell
Or
them that all
or
the time.
them guys, or the guys out the Olympic project, they're like me. They work full-time jobs, they have work normal
Mhm.
jobs, and they go out every single day out
Mhm.
in the research areas, but they put the time in, the boots on the ground.
Yes.
Um, but the weird, the orbs. I never saw an orb until 2016, and it was 2 weeks after our double encounter. Glenn Mink and I, we encountered two creatures at the same time. They were a large one and a smaller one. Think it probably was family. The one was a parent and the smaller one was juvenile. But 2 weeks after we had that encounter, we went back to that area. We went back to that spot. We looked around, tried to find stuff, couldn't find anything. Um, we were walking back across the ridge that evening. It was pitch black dark. Glenn had his light on. I turned my light off. I was just using, I was secondhand using his light. And
Mhm.
up ahead of us, a couple 100 feet, was this blue light. And I said, wonder who that is. And Glenn's like, I don't know, man. There's nobody else comes up here in this area at night except us. And we actually got permission to be in that area after dark and everything. Most people actually had to leave. We didn't. We talked these people into letting us be in there. And I said, when we get up here, um, I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna ask where they got this light at because man, this light. It was pretty. It was the prettiest blue, and it was lighting up the whole forest. And but it wasn't like a real bright light. So we get up toward it, and we get closer and closer and closer, and we're probably about 50 feet or so away from it. And it starts going up into the sky, and it gets to the tree line, and it gets real bright, and then it flashes and disappears. And
Mm.
I lean over and I said, "Glenn, tell me you saw that. Because if you didn't, I'm having a stroke, man. You're gonna have to pop me out there." He said, "Dude, what the hell was that?" I said, "I don't know. I didn't even know. Had no idea what it was." So
Wow.
we're standing there talking about it, and right where this light had dispersed at, um, we're standing there talking, and this rock the size of a football comes flying over our heads and hits trees going down the ridge line.
Oh, wow.
And we take off and get out of there. But to this day, again, a disservice, not meaning to offend anybody. I've talked to Dr. Meldrum. Jeff and I are really good friends. We're great friends. We talk more about baseball than we do Bigfoot. But the uh, I've talked to him about this, and he's like, "Well, will-o-wisps, they're common. They're a natural phenomenon that happens, and it goes back to the Project Blue Book. It was light reflecting off Venus that ignited swamp gases. Just
Yeah.
your textbook explain it
Yeah.
all, explain it away, and I don't accept that. I've seen stuff that moved with intelligence in the woods. I don't know what that is. I don't, and that
Hmm.
bothers me. I have been to the Brown Mountain Lights and seen these orbs fly out of the mountain. You can't explain it,
Yeah.
and that pisses me off.
Because right, because we want that explanation, right? We want to know, like, there has to be an explanation, but it's like sometimes our mind just we don't get it.
I would be more, and that's one thing I'm working toward is the connection, and not only the connection between
Mhm.
uh, supernatural entities and
Mhm.
UFOs and Bigfoot and what have you.
Mhm.
A really, really great friend of mine, a fantastic human being, researcher, Matt Pruitt from the Smoky Mountains, he made a comment. I use it to a T now. If 0.01% of all Bigfoot sightings was a Bigfoot, guess what? Bigfoot exists.
Mhm.
There's no getting around it. There's no getting
Yeah.
away from it. It only
Well,
takes it only takes
I
that 0.0%.
right. Right. I mean, for me, and I've said this on my show many times, many, many times. For me, I'm a knower, right? I'm a knower. They don't their existence doesn't need to be proven to me and to a lot of people. I think a lot of us are knowers, a lot of us are believers. But what I think is special, like you said about the Olympic Project guys and about Shane and Randy, for me, I want to it's time for us to take the next step in communication with them, building trust, building that foundation so that
It's hard.
communication someday will actually happen. And it's like I know that there are a lot of people that do a lot of gifting with the with these beings, a lot of these and all
Oh,
that's great.
I got something. Oh crap! I forgot about this the other night. I was doing one of these. I got something. Hang on, I'll
Okay.
show you. Hang on. Be right back.
Okay.
Be right back.
Okay. This is so much fun. I know we're way over our hour, guys. I know we are, but I'm enjoying this conversation. So we're gonna go as Michael wants to go. So I haven't done a really long show in a long time. So this is actually fun for me. Um, so thanks for sticking with us.
Okay, so
Okay.
my research area. I have two hateful. I hate them. Really do. I love them to death, but they're hateful individuals. They some days they'll interact with me, some days they won't.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, in my research area is a long ridge. It's 19 miles of a ridge. And I have trail cams placed strategically. A couple of months ago, I was up there and I have left blue marbles and so forth and so on.
The color
Gifted
blue.
the color blue.
Mm-hmm.
Something about blue.
Something about blue.
Wendell and I had this conversation in South Carolina about blue.
Something about blue.
So now let me state this. You and anybody wants to know, I will send you a GPS picture, satellite image of my research area. There are no creeks. There are no rivers. There is no water sources. There have never been water sources on that ridge. That ridge was above the water level back 22 million years ago. Okay? So I'm walking back from a camera, and something falls and hits me right here on the shoulder. And it fell down my shirt, and I watched it fall down. It landed on my shoe.
Mm-hmm.
And I grabbed it, and I put it in my pocket, and I kept walking, and I thought, I might need to look at that. Because what had fell or thrown, tossed at me, was that.
It's a river, like a river stone.
That's a river stone.
Yeah.
But if I can.
Is it blue?
It is blue.
That's cool.
That is my little rock that I got that they threw at me. So I know they probably like me. I feel like they like me. I can tell you this for a fact. If you're going to gift anything, gift stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know, gift. Oh, you can see it a little bit better. That's
Mm-hmm.
what.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Gift stuff like that. Don't gift food. Don't
Yeah.
ever be guilty of leaving snack cakes or candy bars or anything like that. Because bears and raccoons will do it. But you're also, if a Bigfoot does it, if a Bigfoot takes the bait, you are putting somebody that could potentially end up in your research area in imminent danger. What if somebody else comes into that area and doesn't have a candy bar? They're going to be pissed. They're going to potentially attack. You don't want that on your conscience. I don't.
I never looked at it that way before. So that's a good point. It's a very good point.
And don't put stupid stuff. I got a buddy of mine. He's one of my best friends. I won't name drop him. I want to really bad. But God, he will not come off the undiscovered species of primate. And he takes bananas. And he lives upper East Coast. And I'm like, for shits and giggles, we'll call him Dave. Why not? His name is not David, by the way. His name doesn't even start with a D. We'll say Dave. I'll say, Dave, why are you leaving bananas? Well, monkeys like bananas. Have you ever been there? Like, they'll eat bananas in the zoo. I've seen monkeys, eat bananas in the wild on video and all that.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell do you think a Bigfoot would know what a damn banana is? Did they go to the store?
Because we don't have any real tropical. I mean, I guess down here in South Florida we do. We're subtropical and southern. Southern.
You want to gift a skunk ape? You want to gift a skunk ape a banana or a mango, whatever? You can. Up here in Kentucky, no. Up the East Coast, no. This guy lives close to the coast, and I'm like, why don't you just cook him up a lobster?
I was just going to say that. What about a lobster? Seafood offering,
some crabs or something, man. Just do something for him. But, you live in an area. I've been there. I have family all down in Florida. Like my aunts and uncles on my dad's side, my dad's brothers and sisters, all they live in that area,
Mhm.
in Orlando area. But I've been down there researching Robert Robinson and all them guys.
Mhm.
Um, you can keep the damn skunk ape. I was there in 2013, and something, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I can't say it was a skunk ape. Something screamed at me, and I don't mean whoa. I don't mean like that. It was like ah. The hell is
We
that?
have all kinds of craziness down here, you know what I mean? Like I was last weekend, I was out with Chris Hensley and Marion Gant, and I was out with uh, David Sidoti, and you know, a whole bunch of us were all out. And I'll tell you, it was interesting because we found this. Um, we had a great time, by the way. It was so much fun, like being with like all of these amazing researchers. Like it was so much fun. Um, but we found this kind of like this this like tunnel like of like all of these like like I want to call them hedges, but they're not hedges, but all these trees like, you know, in a dome like shape, right? With this like tunnel, right? And we were getting ready to go check out this tunnel when all of a sudden I walked really close by. I like had walked by. It was kind of like in like almost like a it was like a dried up kind of like creek bed kind of thing. And we were down inside it, walking to the end of this tunnel with all it. So we're, I walk right by this one area and I hear Marion and Mark behind me, and she's like, "Did you hear a hiss?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't hear nothing." I'm like, I'm just kind of doing my thing and I'm videotaping. I videotaped the whole thing. It was hilarious. And long story short, it was a gator in there in this deep hole dug into the side of the bank, and everybody was like, we gotta go. This is like, you know, because it was we were in a very confined space, right? So if the gator came out, like we'd be in some probably some trouble. But it was the funniest thing though, because all of us were so pissed. We were like, we wanted to go in there, we wanted to go check this out, and we couldn't get in there. And the stupid gator, like it just was like one of these like really weird comical things that happen. But it yeah, we've got it all down here, you know. We've got the pythons and
See, that's like Kentucky. I mean, we got black bears. We have the occasional mountain lion that comes through.
mhm,
Copperheads, rattlesnakes.
yeah.
But I was that weird kid. Like when my mom, when I was a kid, mom would wash my jeans and all that. And instead of dumping out rocks and stuff like that, she'd have to check my pockets for snakes and stuff. In fact, like 2 weeks ago, I was in my basement and I seen this little corn snake or rat snake. I'm sorry, I seen a rat snake, and I was like, buddy, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Unfortunately, I don't want to sleep with you, and you will find a way upstairs. So I'm going to go ahead. Me and you are going to have a mutual agreement here. I'm going to pack you outside and let you go, and you're not going to come back. Okay? And I reached down, and he called back, and I looked at him. I done him just like this. Don't you even think about it. If you bite me, I'm going to smack you on top of the head. And it's like he knew what I was saying. And I had one hand drawn back like I was going to do it. And he let me pick him up. And he was a good one. He was 2.5, 3 foot long. And I packed him up. And so funny, my parents came at the same time. Mom's like, "What you got?" And I was like, "Oh, I got steaks." She goes, "Well, we're going to visit, but never mind." And they left. Um, but no, I mean, here in Kentucky, we have black bear. 4 weeks ago, a month ago at work, I was walking. It's so cool that I actually get to do stuff in nature at my normal job. So I was walking around the ridge, and all of a sudden, this big black bear decides to jump up and get on the trail with me and starts pawing the ground.
Oh boy.
and like huffing at me and blowing. And people that know the story about the bear in Northern California know it's funnier than hell. But I walked up on a grizzly bear in Northern California in 2018. Not that I wanted to, didn't know it was there, but it scared the piss out of me. And ever since then, everything's a bear. And here I am looking at this bear going, hey bear, hey bear, hey bear, hey bear. No, 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 go. And another guy that was above me seen my fat ass clear a 4-foot ditch. And but in the bear's defense, a few days after this, the
Mm-hmm.
guy that saw me, his name is Bruce. He said, I know why that bear was pissy. I said, why is that? He said, because I saw 3 little fuzzballs running behind it earlier.
Oh,
So I walked up on
makes
mom.
sense.
And now it makes sense, and I don't go around that
Mm.
area anymore. But we have black bear, we have cougar, we have snakes. Other than that, we don't have anything really. Uh, I guess coyotes would be the apex. Oh no, we have those. They're smaller than a gray wolf. They're red wolves. They
Okay.
released a bunch of them in the Smokies. They've kind of migrated up this way. Um, that those I guess canine would be the apex predator around here.
Yeah.
As far as coyotes and the red wolves and stuff like that, go in the occasional mountain lion. We have few and far between of those. Um, but Bigfoot, I mean, they're opportunistic omnivores, so they eat
Mm-hmm.
anything they can. Um,
Mm-hmm.
our biggest thing around here is snakes. I mean, on average, I forget what the statistics are with that, but there's a lot of people gets bitten by snakes around here.
Yeah, I mean, I have two different types of snake boots, and I've got a set that are Kevlar. I've got, another set that's it's not Kevlar, but they're still, it depends. I always carry both pairs with me, and then I always have just a pair of like regular hiking boots. I It depends on where I'm at. Once I'm there and I see what the terrain is like. I mean, if it's going to be swampy, then I'm sorry, it's Kevlar, unfortunately, because there's way too many dangerous, snakes, and those are the swampy areas. And that's it's a pain in the, what, to have to walk around in the swamps in Kevlar boots. It's like really not my favorite thing to do. It's definitely not my thing.
I mean, hey, do you know Robert Robinson? I've seen that guy go out. He's in full combat mode, and it's 5,000 degrees. You can bake bread in Florida. Um,
I do not during the summertime. No, I won't. No, no, I will not go out in the middle of the summer. June, July, August, September, it'll start getting nicer, but June, July, and August, I will not. I just will not. I would like to keep an extra pint of blood around because the mosquitoes are probably the worst part.
yeah, see, that's like here we have. Kentucky's such a wuss state. I mean, we don't have any cool things like the West Nile or anything like that. We have yellow jackets. We have hornets. That's about it. We have the occasional wasps and stuff like that, but nothing crazy.
No, but I love the Smokies though. And I was up there not that long ago, and it's beautiful there. It is so beautiful. And it's just so like, I don't know, it's just the
One of
energy, the vibe there is just so amazing. Like I just love
oh
that
man,
feeling.
see if anybody really good friend of mine, researched with him a lot. Scott Carpenter, he was a fantastic friend of mine. We researched together a lot. down there. He died back in July, or sorry,
Mm-hmm.
August.
Yes.
And the if anybody ever gets the chance, and I'm not promoting other shows by no means, but pull up the episode of Sasquatch Chronicles with
Mm-hmm.
Les Stroud, but really listen to the part where he's talking about Scott Carpenter and what happened in the Smokies during the filming of Survivor Man Bigfoot,
Mm-hmm.
and where he talks about all the supernatural stuff that was going on that they wouldn't let him show on that show because that wasn't the premise of the show. They wanted Bigfoot as a flesh and blood,
Mm-hmm.
and here supernatural stuff was going on. But Scott was, I have to say that Scott is wherever he's at in the universe is a fantastic human being, one of the best. I'm so privileged to being able to be his friend and walk on this earth while he was here. Uh, and what a way to go! He went, he was here, blinked his eyes, and he was gone. And unfortunately that's how life is.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
have, and I think it's probably one reason why I do what I do, and that's you know I want to be remembered,
Yeah.
and I firmly believe anybody that's ever passed on, if you think about them, if you remember them and how they were and who they were, how they treated you,
Yeah.
they're never gone. I lost my grandma a few years ago. I lost my
Mm-hmm.
grandpa many years ago. But I think about all of them every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Michael Cook, it, I done one of these with a girl in California a couple years ago, and she asked me. She said, "What do you want to be remembered for?" And I couldn't answer. My biggest thing I want to be remembered for is the way I treated people.
Yes. Yes.
I don't give one, sorry, I don't give one red shit what people think about my research. It will probably, all the books, all the notes that I've got piled up right down here, it'll probably be put away and rotten away one day. But I would love for somebody to turn on the TV or go to a library and pick up a book by me and say, wonder what this guy was about.
Mm-hmm.
And let that be what I'm remembered for. Bigfoot researcher, cool. I'm a dad.
Mm-hmm.
I am I'm a father before I'm anything. I am your friend before I'm anything else. If I'm your friend, I'm your friend. You have to do something pretty bad to me to make me write you off.
Sorry, you're getting me emotional.
I'm sorry.
No, because that is, excuse me, that just hits home for me because for me, I I feel the same way. Like I don't care how many subscribers I have. I don't care how many viewers I have. I don't care how many whatevers. It's not for me. It's how I look at life. I want, and I even have it down here on my little ticker down here, like spread love and kindness. I say that at the end of every show. I tell everybody to remember to spread love and kindness wherever you go. And it is not just some little like catchy phrase that I came up with. I live it. I live it every single day. And anybody who really truly knows me, you know that. You know that I don't it's the relationships that we build in life that matter.
Love is the most powerful force
Yes.
in this universe.
Yes.
And, you know,
Yes.
I tell people, Bill Rigby and I were talking the other night. The last podcast I done was a few nights ago. And we went on. It was fun. We talked about baseball, football, and all this stuff, and Bigfoot. But, you know,
I
I
love
was
you
telling
guys
him
too. They're all
up until this past year, I never really noticed it. But I had a girl come up to me in South Carolina, and when I start my Bigfoot presentation, I tell them, I'm like, hey, who's had a Bigfoot encounter? Raise your hand. And, you know, do you want to talk about it? Well, she didn't want to talk about it. She come up to me after the show, and she goes,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I have a lot of emotional issues with this. And I said, well, let's talk about it. If you want to, let's get it out there, because I'm gonna tell you something, folks. I don't care if it's a Bigfoot encounter, if it's
Mhm.
something somebody said to you. If you keep that crap bottled up inside of you, it will rot you from
Yeah.
the inside out. Let it
Yeah.
out and let
Yeah.
it go. The only way you can let it go is to let it out.
Yeah.
And
I it's
people
a lot
have,
of it's a lot of, you know, and you and I started to talk about it backstage at the beginning before the show started, you know, navigating the waters in this community is not an easy thing to do when all you're trying to do is just bring good content, not offend anybody, stay in your own lane, be positive, and bring, you know, really positive like information to people, because people want you to constantly get into the middle of whatever's going on. And if you don't, then you're the wacky one for not getting involved, or you're the wacky one for not taking sides or not jumping on, you know, this train or that train. It's a lot to try to navigate, you know.
I'll be the first one to defend the innocent. I really will. If I see somebody make a comment about something that they don't know anything about, I will come back and say, okay, listen, you need to hush, step back, look at what you're saying, and reevaluate yourself before you evaluate anybody.
Right.
Um, Now, that being said, I've got a buddy, dear friend of mine. He will, he lives for it, and I'm like, man, you gotta quit. Some of these fights you can't win. You just can't win. And I,
Thank you, Jen.
thank you. Um, I, I can't. Okay, the Les Stroud has a good point on this one. When you're speaking at a conference, and I want to do this, but I'm not sure how the reaction would be. Speaking at a conference, I want everybody in that audience to say, okay, who believes in Bigfoot, who doesn't? And the people who don't believe in Bigfoot, I want you to turn to the people that believe in Bigfoot and tell them they're liars. And then you all hash that out,
Mhm.
because you can't say that. Um, Personal vendettas and public researches should be completely out the window. It should never be on the same field playing ball.
Right.
Um, and you know, that's several people that think, because I was on a TV show, that I hate the word celebrity. I hate it. I'm not. I have a normal job. My job is not TV. Yet, but the I have several people say, "Oh, well, finding Bigfoot, them guys didn't know what they were doing." Well, I was actually privy to a lot of stuff that happened before the show was ever a show. And I can tell you that they vetted a lot of people before they found the four that done it. But you got to remember something. And I can say this about our own show. It was a dramatization. 95% of the show happened. It absolutely happened to a T. 5% of it was for what it was. It was for TV.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this, name drop. James Fay, Cliff Barrett, two of the greatest friends I've ever had, known them for 20 years. I know a lot of people who say, well, I didn't like how Cliff was on Finding Bigfoot. Well, you didn't get to see the 200 takes that they made before they released that one.
Yeah.
Have you ever sat down and talked to Cliff? Cliff's a great guy. He will argue with you and have fun with you all day long. Bobo, James, he is, again, Randy Harrington and Bobo Fay. The bigger the guy, the bigger the heart.
I swear that's true.
We were doing this Finding Bigfoot thing a few years ago, and a friend of mine here in my hometown, her little girl, is obsessed with Bigfoot. And it was her birthday. And I got Bobo to make a video telling Jovi happy birthday.
Aww.
And that girl has talked about it ever since.
Aww.
But that's another thing that I want to touch on is kids. I had something happen to me in Hocking Hills back in August at the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival. I was there right beside of the guys from Mountain Monsters. And this lady had waited hours, literal hours, to get up to where we were to talk to us and everybody. More or less the guys from Mountain Monsters. Wild Bill was there. And I gained so much respect for Wild Bill and them guys after this event. It was so great. But this little lady, she came up and she was wearing a bandana. And you could tell. And she said, she looked at Bill, she grabbed his hand, she said, your show helped me make it through chemo. And then she looks over at me and corners me and she says, oh my God, I just watched your show the other night. But then it gets worse because I've got this really soft heart nowadays. So in South Carolina 2 weeks ago, this little boy comes up and he says, I'm a Bigfoot hunter. And I said, you are? And he says, yep, ain't I, Mom? And she said, yeah. He goes out and makes whoops and wood knocks. And he turns back around and I see it. He's got a pick line. And I said, oh God. And I said, he said, can you take me Bigfooting? And I said, I'll tell you what, buddy, you do everything in your power to get rid of that. And you get better. And here's my card. And whenever you're well, you call me and I will personally come and pick you up and take you out and find Bigfoot. But I'm going to tell you something. It's those kids.
Yes.
The next generation will be the ones that find Bigfoot.
Yes.
I'm getting to that age where one day, as sad as this sounds, will be the last time I ever go in the woods.
It's funny. I've had that same conversation with my son before. I'm like, I never know when my last hike is going to be.
I hope it's there. I hope it is. I'm at peace. I walked up in the woods today. I'm at peace there. I hope if something ever happens naturally, I hope I never get attacked by anything. That was
Michael, this is the best interview I've ever had. Thank you so much. This is so much fun.
But as the longest joke ever made, I think I have a friend that could do this. If I ever got eaten by anything, he could get up at my funeral and say, "Hey, we had a 4th grade teacher that looked at Mike and said, you'll never be shit. And guess what, folks? 3 days ago, a bear took a big calling Mike right in the forest." Always said though, my death would be the greatest punchline ever be made. Because
That's
if
so
I ever,
funny.
somebody asked me one time, said, "Hey, what would you do if you won the lottery?" I'm like, "The lottery, like billions of dollars." Like, yeah. I'm like, I'd go buy a helicopter, and then I'd crash it, and then I'd die, and then I would. It sets it up for the perfect punchline. Because somebody at my funeral has to go, "I didn't know he could fly a helicopter." Somebody's got to be like, "Well, he couldn't." I mean, but the reality of it is that
Yeah.
we were talking about Bob Gimlin the other day, and yeah, Bob's old.
Yeah.
If Bob died right now, it would break every bone in my heart. But Bob Gimlin will forever be remembered by us.
Oh, of course.
Um, it unfortunately that's how life is.
Yeah.
We will go in the woods one last time one day.
Mhm.
And Scott Carpenter, good example, got up, ready for the day, and fell over.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, but you're right. It's, it's the kids. I mean, like, my grandkids, like I love seeing them outside. Like today, it was just like awesome just seeing them out, just kind of like they're out there just screaming, just to scream. And it's like, where else are they gonna scream, right? I mean, if they're at home screaming like that, you know what I mean? But it's fun just to go out and just in the middle of nowhere and be able to just scream to the top of your lungs and just get it out. It's actually a healthy thing to do, is to just kind of like expend that energy and just get it out. But the kids, it's, my grandchildren know what I do. My son, he's a researcher too, and it's great. They know what we do. They love it when we take them out and teach them things, and take them on short hikes. And, I mean, it's a family thing for us. So I wouldn't want it any other way.
I know people in my personal life that have never been off a sidewalk, that have
Yeah.
never done anything like we do. One of my friends, he went Bigfooting one day, and I said, "Did you see anything?" He goes, "No, I come upon this waterfall, sat there for a while," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"In your research area?" And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, there's, there's not supposed to be a waterfall. Like, I know it's research area. There's no waterfalls there. He goes, "Well, there's waterfall there," and showed me pictures, and I'm like, that's not even mapped. I mean, you got to see something that nobody else has saw. And that's the thing that we have to take away from this.
Yes,
Take Bigfoot completely out of the equation.
absolutely.
You're getting out, you're enjoying yourself, you're
Yes.
enjoying nature, you're seeing stuff nobody else
Mhm.
gets to see. Um, just like the lady up in Ohio and the kid down in South Carolina. If anything, get out for them.
Yeah.
They can't do that. Not right now.
Right.
Um, that's one of the it's one of the things I'm as guilty as the next, and you probably are too. We take what we do for granted sometimes,
Mhm.
and don't stop to think, "Holy crap! I get to see this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get to do this."
Yeah.
And there's people out there that are not physically, mentally, whatever, emotionally able to go out and do this stuff. Uh, a girl 2 weeks ago in South Carolina, "I love this stuff, but you could never get me out there because I'm afraid." What are you afraid of? If these
Exactly.
things, if these things were dangerous at any bit, I wouldn't be
Mhm.
having this conversation with you.
I'm more afraid of people. I'm more afraid of other people. That is like here in Florida, like, I mean, we have rainbow people there that just kind of like they live out there in the middle of whatever, and they do, some of them are nice, some of them are not so nice. There's a lot of very unsavory people out there like that. You got to be very careful here as far as like, but that's what I get afraid of.
Well, it goes back to the society we live in today.
Mhm.
A few days ago, a madman in Maine went on a shooting spree and killed a bunch of people, only to go out in the woods and go next to a river and blow his damn brains out. You could have probably done that without killing a bunch of people. Or maybe
Mhm.
you should have went and talked to somebody.
Right.
It doesn't hurt at all to go talk to somebody.
Exactly.
You have any kind of thoughts like that, you
Mhm.
got to get that out. You are
Absolutely.
that if there's one thing anybody watching this tonight or in the future, whatever, I'm speaking directly to you right now, whoever it is. You are
Mhm.
loved, you are wanted, you are
Absolutely.
beautiful. The world deserves you. There's not another you like you. You are the youiest you on earth. Nobody is
Yes.
youier than you, and you are special in ways that you can't see.
Yes.
Somebody goes to sleep at night with you on their prayers, and you got to remember those people.
Yeah.
Live, live. Life is the greatest gift to have ever been bestowed on any one of us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you have any ill thoughts toward anybody else, you have
Mhm.
to get that out. You have to go talk to people. You have
Yeah.
to, it doesn't hurt one bit.
All they have to do is actually dial 988. You don't even have to have an 800 number now. It's just dial 988, and that's a suicide 24/7 suicide hotline. And if you want to text, you can text. Hang on, I just had it. If you text, is it one moment? I'm sorry. If you
You can
text the
go,
word home, all in capitals, HOME to 741-741, and you will get in touch with that 24/7 crisis counseling. So yeah. And
and
that's
you can go right here on Facebook, shoot me a message.
yeah.
You need to talk.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll talk to you. We'll talk about it. You don't want to talk about your problems? We'll talk about baseball. Talk about football. Talk about Bigfoot.
Mhm.
Whatever it is to get your mind off that.
Yeah.
You're worth it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all there is to it. Um,
Hmm.
and like I said, don't don't hesitate. Just call, talk, go see
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Get a
It's a
dog.
really It's really important. Yeah, I mean, it's really important for people to be able to know that they can reach out to somebody, and having someone there that they can, just feel like somebody cares about them, and I think that in our society that we really are missing that. We're missing that care for another individual human being on a primal level. Just because you're a human being, we need to get that back in our lives, get that back in our world. We got to get that. We got to spread love and kindness.
Yep. So,
Yes.
folks, I think I've had the best time I've ever had on a podcast tonight.
Well, thank you. Me too. Me too. Great conversation, important conversation.
Very. It's
Yeah.
not all about Bigfoot, folks.
It's not always about Bigfoot.
And if
Michael.
you think it is, go to a conference, go to a festival.
Yeah.
I mean, see what
Yeah.
see me acting goofy with a bunch of people dressed as Bigfoot. Um, I sent you a picture of my book cover. You can throw it up
Oh,
if you want to.
yeah. Hang on.
Um, that will be out close to Thanksgiving, and
Okay, let me put this up. Share screen. Where did it go? Where did it go? Hold on. Wait 1 second. I want to see. Oh, wait. I know now. I'm sorry. I messed it up. Hold on. There it is. I got it. There we go. Let me put it up on. Let's see. There we go. The Bigfoot out of the woods. That's beautiful.
And tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, I will be on Grizzly and Henny's Paranormal Cryptid Conspiracies.
Yes.
With Chris Hensley.
Yep. I was just with Chris Hensley last weekend.
And then I have
what else?
I have nothing going on for the rest of the year until March. Then I'll be working on my schedule in a couple of weeks on SossSquatch. You can catch me wherever that says I'm going to be at. Just signed for the West Virginia Panhandle Conference next May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I will be all over the place next year, actually, with book tour and everything.
You going to be coming to the Florida conference next year?
I am going to do my very best, but I am working on a project right now with a personal thing with these conferences stuff. I am actually creating the first ever mobile Bigfoot museum. So
love it.
It'll be somewhere you can go and see some of the most famous footprints on Earth, and see some cool stuff about Bigfoot in a little trailer. No clowns. So
no clowns.
Then if you or somebody you know wants to book me for a conference, all they got to do is go to info@SossSquatch.com, and SossSquatch is spelled just like it is on my shirt, SossSquatch.com. And you can get a hold of my booker there, and we'll hash out some details of that. Chris Hensley's show tomorrow night, and I don't think I've got anything else going on between now and Christmas. But if you want me, all you got to do is shoot me a message, and I will make myself available if I'm not already booked for something. I've had a wonderful time tonight.
Me too. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for this amazing, just organic conversation, and sharing, like, this is the kind of fellowship, right? I enjoy its fellowship, and I really appreciate it so much. I really, really do.
One other thing, and I've flashed it a couple of times on the screen here. If you ever feel like you can't talk to nobody or whatever, and you wanna do something weird, all you got to do is stay weird. That's right there. Stay weird. There's nothing wrong with being weird.
Nothing wrong with being weird. No.
But unfortunately, I got to get ready for work tomorrow, and I'm gonna hop off.
Thank you, Michael, so much. Hopefully I can get you to come back another time, and we'll talk about some other stuff. Who knows?
Absolutely. When the book comes out, I would love to
yes, please.
And we'll talk about it. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for being here. I know it was a really, really long show, and sorry for getting a little emotional. Sorry. It's just people matter. People matter. Every person matters. Not just certain people. Everybody matters. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what you do for a living, no matter what your bank account says, no matter what car you drive or where you live, everybody matters. Everybody in this world. Everybody. And people need to start respecting each other just as human beings. We don't always have to like every single person that we come across. And that's never going to happen. We're never going to have a kumbaya world. I know that. I know that. I do know that. You're right, little Patty. All life matters. Everybody matters. Everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Do me a huge favor, guys. Share the show out. Share it out. Even if you never share shows out usually, share this one. Share this one. One more time. I'm just going to, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can just dial 988, or you can text the word home, H, all in capitals, HOME, to 741-741. And that will also get you to 24/7 crisis counseling. And mental health matters. People matter. Not views, not subscribers, not podcasts, not Bigfoot. People. People matter. People matter. Respect matters. So, thank you for being here tonight. And if there's somebody that maybe you don't talk to all the time, reach out to them. Let them know that you are thinking of them. Let them know that you love them. Yeah. Reach out to the people that matter to you and let them know that they matter. All right, guys. Thanks so much. And don't forget, please remember to spread love and kindness wherever you go.